Hi everyone, this is Laura Campen, and today on my case study presentation I'm going to be talking about Joy Lawson Davis and her impact on race and social justice for gifted learners. A little bit about her background is Dr. Davis is originally from Newark, New Jersey, and she attended a large school that had a plethora of resources like art classes, auditoriums, science labs, anything that she really wanted. And so there was a mixture of students that were from all backgrounds: Jewish students, Black students, Italian students, and other students from European countries. And so this is what she was used to all the way up until high school. And so she moved during the civil rights movement when it started to get very, very big. Her family decided that it was safer if they moved to a rural city in Virginia, in a rural county, in the summer of 1967. And so she was very resistant about this move as an advanced child because she did not like that it was an all-black school, and she felt really isolated in that rural community because she felt restricted by the curriculum because they didn't have as many resources at this new school of hers. And so in 1971, she actually graduated from high school in the high school that she started out in 1967, and it's called King and Queen Central High School in King and Queen Courthouse, Virginia. And during her time at the high school, she was at a school that was segregated, and all of her teachers and administrators and counselors were Black. And so as I talked about, she was very resistant at first, and she complained to her mom and even the principal about how she didn't like the school the first day that she was there because it didn't have resources, it didn't have things that her old school did have. But then she soon realized that the support that she got from her educators, her counselors, her teachers, she really grew to love that. And so in a blog post that she has on her website, which is called We Are Gifted Too, she said it felt like I was going home every morning, and that she was very comfortable with it, and that her family, her friends, and her school were very encouraging to make sure that she pursued her dreams as she grew up, and made sure that she was actively involved in her education. So as she began on her journey, she was the first generation in her family to actually graduate from college, and she taught for around 17 years, and then she shifted kind of more towards being a teacher as a professor, because in 1992 she graduated from William and Mary with her master's in gifted education, as well as receiving an award for the School of Education Award of Excellence for master's students. And then from 1993 to 1998, she was the state director of gifted services K through 12 in the Virginia Commonwealth. And then in 2008, she got her doctorate in educational policy, planning, and leadership from William and Mary as well. And then in August 2009, she was appointed Assistant Professor of Education for Curriculum and Instruction, and was the director for the Center of Gifted Education at the University of Louisiana Lafayette. Then in 2013, she served as a member of the advisory board of Gifted Child Today, which is a journal that is actually a peer-reviewed journal, and it's the largest subscription available for gifted students. And you see a picture of an example of one of the articles that has been created. And then in 2016, she changed to another university, Virginia Union University, and became the associate professor and chair of teacher education there. So some creative projects that she has produced is that she has had an enormous impact on the gifted learners, and focusing on really students of the disadvantaged backgrounds, and really striving to improve equity and access for gifted programs and cultural diversity. And so today she's now an author, a consultant, and a professor. So she's still a professor at Virginia Union University, but as well as she goes around the world, or around the country, and then also around to South Africa and the Caribbean to give speeches, and she's highly sought after. So I know currently she serves in a 2-year term for the NAGC, which is also the National Association of Gifted Children, as the Diversity and Equity Committee, and she's also a columnist for the NAGC on special populations, and also at-large program. She's a member of the NAGC Board of Directors. So she's produced many articles and many reports and publications. She wrote a chapter in the book Implementing RTI with the Gifted Students by Johnson and Coleman, and she wrote a chapter called In the Importance of Family Engagement. So this is the book off to the side, The Bright, Talented, and Black, was a book that was really the first of its kind, because no book has really been published to help educate African Americans and Blacks about how their families can really get involved to help support their learners' needs and what they can do to help their student develop as a gifted child. And so in this video, we're going to see just a little bit of it about her talking about her book and how she feels like it's very important for African American and Blacks, and the reason that she kind of wrote this book.
It's about that I take all that information and put it together inside of a book so that the Black family could have access. Black families and communities could do a better job of advocating for their own gifted children. Giftedness has no boundaries. There is no information, no research anywhere that can suggest to us that the only children who are gifted are affluent children who come from the majority population. I know very well, and all of us know, that there are gifted children in all communities, and our job is to try to seek them out, nurture them, and help them develop to their full potential. The Bright, Talented, and Black is a great tool for families to do this so that they can learn more about gifted education, services, and how they can advocate better for their children. I believe this book has made a great difference across the nation. I've had great responses from families, from school division personnel. I've had excellent conversations with these individuals who suggested to me that reading this book has made a great difference in how well Black parents and community members and all families and community members are being able to be better advocates for their gifted children. And so I'm pleased.
So we see there that she's very passionate about this subject of helping support the Black families to really be educated about how they can support their gifted children. But not only that, she wants to help all gifted learners, and she feels like even if you are not an African American family, that this book can really help to bring students and families aware of how they can really support their students' needs as a gifted learner. So how is Joy Lawson Davis creative? Well, there's many reasons why she's creative, but one of the things that she talked about in her post on her blog in September 2018 is she explains how as a child she wanted resources in her high school like arts, the auditorium, science labs, but unfortunately she wasn't able to be given those opportunities traveling internationally because they didn't have the resources. It was an all-Black school, and at that time during the Civil Rights Movement, they didn't give the resources to those Black schools, and she wasn't able to have those opportunities. And so in high school she did things like home economics, where she could learn to design a home or how to sew, whereas the boys learned how to do building trades. And so this is kind of where she figured out, some creative aspects, but again, there wasn't the resources that she wanted to. And she talked about how, she wanted to go see things and see the world, but instead she was stuck being able to, look at maps of France or look at maps in her history class, but she couldn't, do what she wanted to. And so this is where her passion really has come into her career of, over 30 years of working. She's really passionate about making parents of Black families aware of the opportunities they can give their Black child, and the education they can receive. And so I know she wants to help them. So from Torrance's article of non-test ways of identifying the creative gifted in 1962 is that one thing that she has is she's independent of thinking and behavior. And we see that from her high school years all the way to currently. She's definitely independent and coming up with books that are new for their time because, students just nowadays, and even teachers, aren't exposed to things to understand that this is an issue, that Black people are not being identified as gifted learners. And she's definitely an experimenter because she wants to experiment with new things, creative things, helping support gifted students and educating people, which goes along with the originality of thought and being able to not just think about, oh, this is an issue, but actually putting it into play, writing books, giving speeches, writing chapters in books, giving reports. So she's definitely full of ideas and definitely wanting to support the gifted community and do things to really help the gifted learners grow and achieve and have the best future. In Torrance's article about identifying the creative gifted among the economically and culturally disadvantaged children in 1964, she was a child who was disadvantaged because she was going to a school that was segregated and it was all Black and they didn't have the resources that the white schools had. And so she took initiative to be the first person in her family to go to college. And she sought ways and new things and new possibilities of how can I help the gifted learners, how can I help the Black community so that they're more aware. And lastly, in Torrance's article of non-test indicators of the creative talent among disadvantaged children in 1973, he talks about the creative positives, and definitely Dr. Davis has creative positives, like being able to express her feelings and emotions within her writing, because like I've said, she has books, she has articles, she has reports, she's written several peer-reviewed journals, I know with Donna Ford, which is another person who's a professor at Vanderbilt, that she's worked with her to write articles. Her speech is very vivid. I know, you saw her in the video, but as well as I was reading her blog and different articles about her, she was using vivid language and expressing herself very clearly and animated. And so she definitely has original thoughts of how to problem solve with the gifted issue and specifically the disadvantaged students and what can she do and not giving up, which is a creative positive that she really wants to continue to strive to do the best. So that is my presentation on Joy Lawson Davis, and this is my resources, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.